Incredible wave of fate. Single mom rescues drowning billionaire, leaves now he'll move heaven to get her back. The sun was barely peeking over the horizon, casting golden rays on the sparkling waves of the coastal town. Jessie, a 35-year-old single mother, ran along the beach, her heart racing with the rhythm of the waves. For her, every day was a battle to provide for her two vibrant kids, Lexi and Max, to ensure they had what they needed. But this morning, as laughter filled the air, the world changed in an instant. With the morning crowd bustling around her, she spotted a man thrashing in the water, arms flailing against the strong tide. Panic surged through her chest. The ocean roared as if warning her of the gravity of the situation. She sprinted toward the waves, her motherly instinct propelling her forward. A crowd shouted, but she could only hear the sea. This was a life-and-death moment. Before she could think, she dove into the chilling embrace of the ocean. The salt water stung her eyes, but she fought through it. Her hands found purchase on the man's shirt, and she pulled with every ounce of strength. Ethan, a drowning billionaire in search of solace, gasped for breath as Jessie dragged him closer to safety. The beachgoers erupted into cheers as they collapsed onto the sand, two souls brought together by fate and the relentless sea. Once ashore, she gasped for air, mind racing with adrenaline and fear. As Ethan opened his eyes, she saw something majestic blooming within them, gratitude mixed with vulnerability. "Thank you," he wheezed, a tremor of disbelief in his voice. Jessie felt a rush of warmth, a fleeting connection woven from that one critical moment. Her heart swelled with hope. Maybe we all rescue each other in unexpected ways. As the weeks passed, Jessie found herself drawn inexplicably to Ethan. Their lives intertwined, and she shared cups of coffee amidst laughter while her children adored him. Who would have thought a billionaire would find joy in the simplicity of family, soccer games, and school plays? Yet, with this blossoming friendship came uncertainty. Jessie felt the weight of her struggles, bills, working late nights, and the fear of letting her kids down. Could she truly deserve Ethan, a man from a world so far from hers? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Just when Jessie thought they'd found common ground, a misunderstanding shattered the fragile foundation they'd built. She was offered a deal, a chance to clean a high-end hotel that could lift her family out of financial turmoil. Excitement turned to fear. What if it meant spending less time with Ethan? Their argument exploded with hurtful words. The billionaire felt rejected. Jessie, defensive and fearful, pulled away, prioritizing her children's future above the possibility of love. Standing atop the pier that overlooked the wide ocean, Jessie felt tears prick her eyes. So much was at stake. Her children were her heart, and Ethan felt more like a distraction than a solution. Meanwhile, Ethan wrestled with his own demons, realizing his wealth was shadowed by hollowness without Jessie's warmth. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Jessie stood at a crossroads, heart heavy with doubt. Ethan was determined to right the wrongs he'd caused, but would he see that her family always came first? Hope and uncertainty danced in the air, as both yearned to bridge the chasm of their worlds. Would love jolt back to life, or would fate separate them forever? Jessie stood on the pier, the salty breeze tugging at her hair as thoughts spiraled. Waves crashed rhythmically below, but inside her, a storm brewed, a battle between duty and desire. She gazed out at the horizon, where the sky met the ocean, seemingly endless and full of possibilities. Could she really let herself love someone like Ethan? The question lingered heavy in her heart. Her phone buzzed in her pocket, snapping her from the reverie. It was a text from Ethan. "Can we talk?" It sent a thrill down her spine, but fear also coiled tightly in her chest. The last thing they had shared was damage, words that cut deeper than the crashing surf below. Yet here he was, reaching out. Did he still want her after everything? With a quick beat of her heart, she replied, "Sure. Where?" Meet me at the cafe by the beach? His words felt simultaneously like a lifeline and a chain, pulling her toward another reckoning. Shoving her phone back into her pocket, Jessie took a deep breath, her resolve wavering. She could see the cafe from where she stood, its cheerful facade welcoming customers with the rich aroma of coffee and pastries wafting through the air. Taking a final breath of the ocean air, she began walking. When she arrived, Ethan was already there. He sat at a table outside, his strong hands gripping a white mug. He looked up and met her gaze, his expression tentative yet hopeful. Jessie glanced at the empty chair across from him, the silence between them heavy and thick, almost tangible. "Jessie," he began, his voice a deep rumble that made her heart flutter, "thank you for coming." "Of course," she replied, her voice steadier than she felt. It was now or never. Ethan took a moment, searching for the right words. I need to apologize. I misunderstood your situation. I see now that you're doing everything you can for your kids." A weight lifted slightly off Jessie's shoulders, but doubts still crept in. "And I need to explain myself too. I can't just jump into something new, Ethan. I have responsibilities. My kids." Her voice trailed off as she looked out at the waves crashing, each one a reminder of the choices she faced. "Jessie," he said softly, "you and your kids are not a distraction to me. I see that now. I admire your strength, your dedication. It's something I've been missing in my life." He leaned in, his blue eyes earnest and stirring. "I want to be part of that strength, if you'll let me." She felt herself wavering, emotions tumbling inside her like the waves. Could she really open up her heart again? All her life, she had shielded it, making sure no one could hold it for ransom. But here stood Ethan, vulnerable, yearning. "Ethan, we come from different worlds," she whispered, her voice trembling. "What you see in me, I'm just a single mom trying to keep things afloat." He shook his head, determination etched in his features. "No, Jessie. You're so much more than that. You saved me. You changed my life. Please don't sell yourself short." At that moment, beneath the bustling atmosphere of the cafe, their worlds felt more aligned than ever. Yet just as Jessie considered the possibility of bridging the gap, the sharp ring of her phone broke the spell. It was Lexi's school calling. Panic spiked through Jessie. "I have to take this," she said, rising hastily from her chair. She hoped that the call wasn't about anything serious. As she hurried to answer, she glanced back one last time at Ethan. He watched her, a mixture of hope and concern flooding his gaze. "Wait!" he called out, voice echoing with urgency. She could feel the tug of fate pulling her toward him, but the call's urgency tethered her to her reality. What awaited her on the other end could change everything. Would she face the call that had the potential to alter her world? And if she did, would it push her away from the love that shone in Ethan's eyes? Jessie grabbed her phone, her heart racing as she swiped to answer. "Hello?" she said, trying to keep her voice steady despite the knot in her stomach. "Ms. Harper? This is the principal's office. I'm calling about your daughter, Lexi." The gravity in the principal's voice sent a chill down her spine. "There's been an incident." "She's all right, but you need to come in as soon as possible." Relief briefly washed over her before dread set in. "What kind of incident? Is she hurt?" "No, ma'am. Just a minor scuffle on the playground. I assure you she's safe, but we'd like to discuss the situation further." "Okay. I'll be right there." She hung up and felt her breath catch. Lexi, her sweet, imaginative girl, had been through enough. Jessie needed to be strong for her, always. "Jessie?" Ethan's voice brought her back to the cafe, but she barely glanced at him. "Is everything okay?" "No. I have to go." She felt the pull of urgency, the weight of responsibility anchoring her. "It's Lexi. Something happened at school." Ethan stood, his gaze searching hers. "Can I come with you?" "No." The words slipped out sharper than she meant. She softened, guilt flooding her. "I just need to handle this on my own." "I'm sorry." Jessie turned and hurried away, leaving Ethan behind. The cafe faded as she made her way toward the car. Each step felt heavy with the knowledge that the moment she had with Ethan was now shrouded in worry. As she drove to the school, her mind raced with all the what-ifs. What if Lexi got hurt? What if it was something worse? These thoughts churned inside her, but she took a deep breath, pleading with herself to remain calm for her daughter. Arriving at the school, she rushed inside, her heart pounding against her ribcage. The brightly colored walls and cheerful student artwork felt foreign in the tension swirling within her. "Ms. Harper!" A teacher greeted her, her expression tense yet reassuring. "We're glad you're here. Lexi is in the nurse's office. She's waiting for you." The relief was immediate but short-lived. Jessie followed the teacher down the corridor, and with each step, her anxiety swelled. Halfway there, she paused, worry coiling around her chest like a vice. What had happened? As she reached the nurse's office, she pushed the door open. Lexi sat on the edge of the cot, arms hugging her knees, eyes wide and glassy. Jessie's heart broke at the sight. "Mommy!" Lexi cried, launching herself into Jessie's arms. "Oh, baby," Jessie murmured, hugging her close, taking in the smell of her hair, the comfort of her warmth. "I'm here." "What happened?" "There were kids mean kids," she sniffed, tears spilling down her cheeks. "They said I was a weirdo because I like to draw when they want to play tag, sweetheart. It's okay." Jessie brushed a thumb over her daughter's cheek, her own heart aching. "Tell me everything." As Lexi recounted the incident, Jessie's mind drifted to Ethan. She thought about how he could have been there to support them in this moment. The gap between their worlds felt insurmountable right now, but in the safety of her daughter's embrace, she felt a flicker of hope. Just as the nurse entered with a comforting smile, Jessie's phone buzzed in her pocket again. It was another message from Ethan. "Let me know if you need anything." A question echoed in her heart. Was it time to let someone in? As the nurse spoke sweetly to Lexi, Jessie's thoughts circled back to Ethan, a flickering memory of his blue eyes and gentle words. Could she truly risk her heart on a man who lived so differently? The emotional weight of her decision pressed heavily upon her. Would she find the courage to reach back out to him or let their moments slip away like waves retreating from the shore? Jessie's phone buzzed once more, and her chest tightened. It seemed fate had other plans in motion. Jessie took a steadying breath, glancing at her phone. The screen lit up with Ethan's name again. She hesitated, feeling a wave of guilt mixed with gratitude. It was hard to pull her mind away from Lexi's pain and the fear of what the future might hold. "Mommy, can we go home?" Lexi's small voice cut through Jessie's thoughts, filled with a mix of weariness and dread. Jessie looked down at her daughter, eyes still red from crying. Each tear reminded her of the cruel innocence of childhood that, like the tide, could turn unexpectedly. "Of course, sweetheart," Jessie replied softly. She held Lexi's hand, gently rubbing her thumb over the back in reassurance. "But first, let us talk to the nurse, all right?" Lexi nodded, her small frame visibly relaxing as she leaned against Jessie, seeking her comfort. The nurse, noticing the change in atmosphere, quickly wrapped up her notes and joined them. "Lexi, do you need anything? Maybe a snack? You might feel better after some food," the nurse suggested, her voice warm and inviting. "I just want to go home," Lexi whispered, looking up at Jessie with wide, hopeful eyes. Jessie felt her heart ache. The school day had been unexpectedly harsh, and while she wanted to shield her daughter from the world's pain, she also knew they had to face it together. "Okay, we'll get through this, and then we'll grab some ice cream on the way home. How does that sound?" Jessie offered a tentative smile, hoping to reignite the light in Lexi's expressive eyes. That a small smile crept onto Lexi's face, the mere suggestion of ice cream brightening the moment, even if just a little. "Can we get sprinkles?" "Absolutely." With a newfound sense of purpose, Jessie agreed, giving her daughter the squeeze of love intertwined with strength. They spoke a few more minutes with the nurse, discussing the incident and how it could be addressed with the school. Jessie felt a slight calm wash over her as they planned a meeting for the following week. A sense of direction, however small, gave her some hope. After they finally left the nurse's office, Jessie realized there was still a knot in her stomach, one that wouldn't easily untie. They walked out into the bright sunlight, the warmth contrasting sharply with the unshakable heaviness in Jessie's heart. Lexi tugged at her hand, pulling her down to share a soft whisper. "Mommy, do you think it will ever stop? All the mean kids?" Jessie knelt down, meeting her daughter's gaze, her heart breaking yet wanting to be the pillar of strength Lexi needed. "Sometimes people don't understand us. But we have each other, and that's what matters most. You're a beautiful artist, Lexi. Don't ever think that makes you weird. It's special." Lexi looked unsure but nodded slowly, the glimmer of understanding lighting up her face. Jessie felt a rush of pride swell inside her. In that moment she knew her role went beyond just being a mom. It was about teaching resilience, courage, everything their life together could be. As they reached the car, Jessie's phone buzzed again. She hesitated, feeling a strange mix of anticipation and worry before finally flipping it open. It was Ethan. "Jessie, please let me help. I know things are tough. Just tell me how." Jessie's grip tightened around the phone, uncertainty gnawing at her resolve. Could she really let him into this fragile space of vulnerability? If I let him in, what would that mean for us? What would I be opening up to? The road ahead seemed murky, and her heart felt heavy with confusion. With Lexi's small hand in hers, Jessie knew she needed to make a choice, one that would impact more than just her. Would she take the leap and let Ethan be part of their lives? Or would she turn away from the chance of connection, choosing to shield both her daughter and herself? The crossroads loomed before her, and she couldn't shake the feeling that fate was fast at work, pushing her towards something monumental. The feeling of imminent change buzzed in her chest. What was waiting just around the corner? Perhaps, in this moment of decision, her life and Lexi's was about to shift in ways she couldn't yet imagine. Would it be for better or worse? Did she have the courage to find out? Jessie closed her phone, feeling its weight as if it were an anchor. She stood beside the car, watching Lexi slide into the back seat. The little girl's face was still tinged with uncertainty, but that flicker of hope from the promise of ice cream was enough to bring a smile to Jessie's lips. She climbed into the driver's seat, moving mechanically as thoughts whirled like leaves caught in a windstorm. Should she hit call back? Part of her wanted to. Ethan's message lingered in her mind, echoing with sincerity. But what did she really want? The engine hummed to life, and as they pulled out of the parking lot, Jessie swallowed the lump of doubt forming in her throat. She turned the radio on, letting soft melodies fill the air and ease the tension. The familiar tunes wrapped around her, providing a momentary escape from the whirlwind of emotions inside her head. "Mommy, can I choose the next song?" Lexi's voice cut through the musical haze, bright and eager. Jessie looked in the rearview mirror and smiled. "Of course. What do you want to hear?" "Something happy," Lexi replied, her words bubbling with the enthusiasm of a child who still believed in magic. "All right, happy it is." Jessie flipped the channel, settling on an upbeat song. Soon, Lexi was humming along, her small voice rising above the beat. Jessie felt a warmth spread through her chest, appreciating these fleeting moments of joy. But lurking beneath was still that decision about Ethan. She couldn't shake the image of his concerned expression when he'd seen her earlier. The urge to reach out yanked at her like a raw thread, but the fear of what that connection could bring held her back. "Mommy, can we go to the park after ice cream?" Lexi interrupted her tangled thoughts. Jessie turned onto the road leading to the ice cream shop, her heart aching to say yes to give her daughter a perfect day to wash away the memory of the earlier trouble. "Sure, honey. That sounds wonderful." "Yes. I want to swing." Lexi bounced in her seat, the excitement contagious. "Swing it is." Jessie couldn't help but laugh, a real laugh that echoed through the car. For all the turmoil casting shadows over their lives, the simple things still sparkled. As she neared the ice cream shop, she felt an unexpected surge of clarity. Maybe allowing Ethan in wouldn't be as catastrophic as she feared. Perhaps together they could navigate the rough waters that had recently crashed over their lives. The small shop came into view, colorful and inviting. The moment they stepped inside, The sweet, creamy aroma filled their senses. Jessie led Lexi to the counter where a wealth of flavors danced in front of them. "Look, they have cotton candy!" Lexi exclaimed, her eyes sparkling. "What about mint chocolate chip?" Jessie offered, buoyed by Lexi's excitement. "Mommy, that's my favorite!" Lexi squealed, practically bouncing on her toes. As they placed their order, Jessie noticed the family behind them, a mother and her 2 children, all giggling and sharing among themselves. She felt a pang of longing mixed with that knot in her stomach. It was a gentle reminder of the life she wanted for Lexi. One filled with laughter, love, and joy. Could Ethan be part of that? Ice cream cups in hand, they stepped outside into the warm sunshine. Lexi led the way to a little picnic table, where they settled down, the first scoop of ice cream incomparable to any of her thoughts. "Mommy, I'm happy," Lexi said, ice cream smeared across her cheeks. Jessie couldn't help but smile wider. "Me too, sweetheart." But as the sun began to dip lower in the sky, Jessie felt her phone buzz again in her pocket. It was Ethan, a picture this time, capturing a moment from his life. A sunset view from a balcony. Beautiful. Vulnerable. She stared at it longingly, her heart racing. The weight of her decision loomed larger than ever. Could she truly consider bringing someone back into their lives? "Mommy?" Lexi's questioning voice pulled Jessie from her thoughts. "Yeah, sweetie? Why does it seem like you're thinking about something sad?" Lexi asked, her innocence cutting through the haze. Surrounding Jessie's heart, Jessie paused, taking a breath. It was time to choose. But the question was still brewing, simmering beneath the surface. Could she let someone in without losing what mattered most? "I think I'm figuring something out," she replied, a flicker of hope igniting within her. What would tomorrow bring? Would she finally have the courage to confront her fears, or would she instead miss the chance for a new beginning? The uncertainty hung heavily in the warm evening air, and Jessie knew her next step could change everything. "Mommy, can we go home now?" Lexi's small voice cut through Jessie's crowded thoughts like a bell. Jessie looked down at her daughter, her cheeks still dusted with sticky remnants of ice cream. Lexi's eyes shimmered with that innocent hope that had been grounding Jessie all day. "Sure, honey. Let us finish up and head home," Jessie replied, though a part of her wanted to linger in this moment, the calm before the storm. The tingle of anxiety about Ethan's message still gripped her mind, and she could feel it hovering in the air, waiting for her to confront it. They packed up the remnants of their ice cream adventure and walked back to the car together. Lexi skipped ahead, laughing as she chased after a breeze that danced around her. Jessie watched her, heart swelling with love but also a gnawing fear. She had tried so hard to protect Lexi from the fallout of her choices. Could she truly risk letting Ethan back in? As they drove home, the city lights flickered on like the stars in the sky. Jessie's fingers nervously tapped on the steering wheel, and she glanced at her phone, waiting for another buzz that could either soothe or distress her. Each vibration on the dashboard felt charged, a reminder of the choice she was avoiding. "Mommy?" Lexi piped up from the back seat, her voice steady now. "Will we be okay?" Jessie took a moment to respond. She could hear the worry in her daughter's words, mirroring her own internal struggle. "We are always okay, love. Just, sometimes it takes a little time to feel it." Jessie's voice wavered slightly, her own uncertainty creeping through her words. She caught Lexi's gaze in the rearview mirror, and for a moment, they shared an understanding that transcended AGE.as they turned the corner to their familiar street. Jessie felt the weight of her decision pressing down on her once again. Still no new messages. Her heart began to race. Was Ethan waiting for her to take the first step? What would it mean for Lexi? Once home, Lexi scampered ahead, her energy infectious. Jessie followed, still wrapped in thought. She watched as her daughter kicked off her shoes and plopped down on the couch, picking up a crayon and drawing on a piece of paper just as freely as she lived her life, uninhibited and full of imagination. "Look, Mommy! It's you and me at the park!" Lexi exclaimed, proudly holding up a squiggly masterpiece that somehow captured the warmth of their afternoon together. "That is beautiful, sweetie. You're so talented." Jessie smiled, trying to match her daughter's enthusiasm. Still, inside, she felt a restless ache. Time seemed to stand still as Jessie glanced toward her phone again. What if she took a chance? What if she reached out to Ethan instead of turning inward, trying to shield herself from the pain? Just as she entertained that thought, her phone finally buzzed, vibrating insistently on the table. With a deep breath, she picked it up and her heart skipped a beat. It was a message, short but potent. "I'm here if you want to talk. I miss you both." Those simple words cracked open a door within her. The warmth of his sincere message washed over her, filling her with both hope and dread. She weighed her options, the future stretching out before her like the horizon. The choice was heavy, a crossroad with no clear path. Lexi looked up from her drawing then, her young mind curious. "Mommy? Are we gonna see that nice man today?" Jessie froze. The reality of what Lexi had just said grounded her. What do you mean, honey?" "You know, the one with the kind eyes." "I like him," Lexi said, her innocence radiating like sunlight. Jessie's heart raced. What if this was an opportunity to take a step toward bridging the gap, the chance for healing, for a family where laughter could thrive instead of just the memory of love lost? "Maybe we will," Jessie said softly. But the uncertainty lingered in her answer, blending together the possibilities with the fear of the unknown. As she stared at her phone, her heart pounding, Jessie faced the real question that loomed large: could she really allow someone back into their lives? The weight of her decision slipped around her like a fog, thickening the air. Would she dare to explore the unknown with Lexi by her side, or would she play it safe? The shadows of doubt hovered, but a flicker of courage ignited deep within her. Jessie took a deep breath, the chance of a new beginning hanging in the balance. All around her was the uncertainty, yet there was warmth in that uncertainty too. Her moment of truth was edging closer, ready to crash over her like a wave. But would she welcome it or retreat? As the soft glow of evening settled around them, Jessie knew one thing for certain: something had to give. Lexi's laughter broke through Jessie's reverie, pulling her from the depths of her thoughts. The pure joy radiating from her daughter filled the room, and for a moment, the weight of the world lifted from Jessie's shoulders. But the message was still there, still waiting for her. Every tick of the clock felt like a gentle nudge, urging her to act. "Mommy?" Lexi asked, curiously tilting her head. "Can we make cookies?" Jessie smiled, gratefully embracing the distraction. "Cookies sound perfect. Let us do it." The thought of baking with Lexi felt like a safety net. Just them, some flour, and all the love in the world poured into each scoop of dough. They moved to the kitchen, and Jessie felt a sense of comfort as she gathered the ingredients. A colorful collection of bowls, a whisk, and the familiar hum of their old kitchen radio filled the air with warmth. She measured out flour, and Lexi poured in the sugar, her small hands struggling but determined. As they mixed, Jessie couldn't help but think of Ethan. Could they really make it work? That fleeting moment of doubt lingered again, but as she watched Lexi giggle and dance around the kitchen, Jessie felt her resolve strengthen. Maybe this was the life she had been fighting for: love, laughter, and a chance to heal. "Mommy, can I add the chocolate chips?" Lexi asked, her eyes wide with excitement. "Yes, of course. Go ahead," Jessie encouraged her. It was such a small joy, yet it reminded her of the bigger picture of all the moments they had as a family, even when it was just the two of them. With each chip they added, Jessie felt a flicker of courage kindling in her chest. Could reconnecting with Ethan really bring them more happiness? She bit her lip, unsure but leaning into the moment. She was Lexi's mother, but she was also a person who longed for connection. Maybe it wasn't just about Ethan, maybe it was about who she could become too. "Mommy?" Lexi's voice interrupted her thoughts again, and Jessie turned to find her looking serious amidst the scattered flour. "What if he doesn't like our cookies?" Jessie knelt to meet Lexi's eyes. "Then we'll eat them all ourselves. It's okay to be a little imperfect. What matters is that we made them together." Lexi giggled, her tension melting away. "Okay. I think they'll be super yummy." Jessie felt her heart swell as they rolled the cookies into small balls, enjoying the feeling of the dough between their fingers. But even in their playful moment, Jessie's mind drifted back to her phone. She had to decide whether to truly open the door to Ethan, to give him a chance to fit into their lives once more. After they popped the tray into the oven, Jessie glanced at her phone again. The silence felt overwhelming. Should she wait for him to reach out again? Or would waiting only create more distance? "Can I help with the timer?" Lexi asked, looking so eager to be involved. "Absolutely." Jessie set the timer, and they both plopped down in a little nook nearby, the sweet smell of cookies already starting to waft through the air. "Mommy, are you okay?" Lexi's voice was soft, looking as though she could sense the worry behind her mother's smile. "I'm working on it, sweet pea. I promise." But Jessie felt a knot tighten in her chest. The truth was, she didn't know if she was ready for the possibility of heartbreak again. As they waited, the tick-tock of the timer matched the thudding of Jessie's heart. Each second felt longer than the last. What if reaching out to Ethan made everything worse? What if it didn't? Just then, Jessie made up her mind she would reply to Ethan. She owed it to herself and to Lexi to see where this path might lead, to embrace whatever the future held. If nothing else, it would show Lexi that taking risks could yield something beautiful. Lexi pushed her hair back with a flourish, filling the kitchen with more vitality. "Mom, are you excited about the cookies or about that man?" Jessie bit back a smile. "Both, I guess. Let's just say they'll both be sweet in their own way." The timer buzzed, startling them both out of their thoughts. Lexi jumped up, and Jessie laughed despite herself. This was just the beginning, but the air felt charged with possibilities. As Jessie opened the oven door, her heart raced, not just from the warmth of the cookies but from newfound hope. Would she really take that leap of faith? The cookies emerged golden perfect. But in that moment, a louder ping sounded. Lexi's eyes sparkled as they both turned to Jessie's phone. "Mommy!" Another message. With her heart pounding from fear and excitement, Jessie reached for her phone, ready to face the essence of her fate. What would it say? Jessie stared at her phone, the screen lighting up her apprehensive face. The message was from Ethan, and she could feel her heart hammering against her ribs. A wave of anxiety washed over her, mixing with a flicker of hope. What could he possibly say to her? Lexi, bouncing on her toes beside her, tugged at her sleeve. "Open it, Mommy. Open it." Okay, Jessie said, forcing a smile despite her nerves. She took a deep breath, swiping her finger across the screen. There it was, a simple message but heavy with meaning. "Hey, I've been thinking a lot about you both. Can we talk? I miss you." The words buzzed in her mind, prompting a myriad of emotions. "What if it's too late?" she whispered, unconsciously glancing at Lexi, who was now patiently waiting for her response. "No way, Mommy! What if he has 1,000,000 chocolates to give us?" Lexi grinned, her innocence igniting a flicker of joy in Jessie's heart. With trembling hands, Jessie started typing, "I'd like that." "When?" As the seconds passed, Jessie's hand hovered over the send button. Now that she had summoned the courage to respond, the weight of her decision settled heavily on her. What if he doesn't show, or worse, what if it's all just a dream? She shook her head, attempting to push away the fear, but her mind was a whirlwind of what-ifs. Lexi, recognizing her worry, climbed onto her mother's lap, her small arms wrapping around Jessie's neck. "You're brave, Mommy. Just like the cookies." "Right." Jessie couldn't help but chuckle, the sweetness of her daughter's perspective cutting through the tension. "Just like the cookies," she echoed, kissing the top of Lexi's head. The timer buzzed again, breaking the fragile bubble of their moment. With a sigh, Jessie set her phone down to tend to the cookies, carefully taking the golden treats out of the oven. The smell enveloped them, familiar and comforting, an aromatic promise of sweet moments. "Let's cool them down before we dive in," Jessie said, placing the cookies on a rack. She watched as Lexi's eyes sparkled, imagining how their efforts had created something special together. Jessie couldn't help but think of Ethan again. Could a simple message lead to something beautiful, or was it a step backward? The cookies, much like her current situation, were warm and full of potential. Just like in the kitchen, Her heart was mixing up ingredients of hope and fear. "Can we call him?" Lexi suddenly blurted out, excitement bubbling in her voice. "Right now?" Jessie's smile faded as she considered it. "I think we need to talk first, just you and me, about what this means." "Okay," Lexi replied, her face scrunching in curiosity. "But I want to make sure he likes the cookies." As they sat together, sipping milk and enjoying their warm creations, Jessie knew this small moment was a cornerstone, the foundation for the larger conversation ahead. But still, doubt loomed in her mind, a constant ripple reminding her of the emotional stakes. Just then, Ethan replied, "I can come by tomorrow." "Would that be okay?" Jessie's heart raced all over again. Tomorrow. It felt sudden, but for the first time, she considered the possibilities beyond just the past. Tomorrow could be a new chapter, a chance to take a breath and see what they could create together. Lexi's laughter filled the space again as they clinked their cookie halves together, and Jessie took another deep breath, but she couldn't shake the feeling of anxiety creeping back in. What would she say to Ethan? Would they really be ready for this reunion, or would it unravel the fragile happiness they had built? The questions lingered like the delicious smell of chocolate chips in the air, hungry for resolution. And as they devoured their cookies, Jessie wondered what tomorrow would hold. Would it be a sweet surprise or a heart-wrenching challenge? With her heart brimming with uncertainty, she cast a glance at the future waiting just outside their kitchen. Jessie woke up the next morning with a mix of excitement and a lingering shadow of anxiety. Sunlight streamed in through the kitchen window, illuminating the remnants of the previous day's cookie blitz. Lexi was still sleeping, her small body curled up under the blanket, unaware of the emotional storm brewing just outside her dreams. As Jessie brewed coffee, the aroma was oddly comforting, but her thoughts were crowded. Today was the day. Ethan was coming, and the potential for both renewal and heartbreak danced in the air like the steam rising from her cup. She glanced at her phone, hoping for some last-minute communication that wasn't there. "Okay, Jess, you got this," she told herself, gripping the mug tightly. She spent the next hour cleaning frantically, wiping down surfaces and tidying toys, as if organizing her environment could somehow organize her swirling thoughts. But she knew the truth: no amount of cleaning could prepare her heart. As the clock ticked closer to Ethan's arrival, Jessie dressed carefully. She selected a soft sweater that flowed, making her feel both comfortable and a bit more confident. It was casual yet inviting, the kind of outfit that said she was trying, but not too hard. Lexi joined her in the kitchen, rubbing sleep from her eyes. "Mommy, is today the day?" Lexi's voice was bright, cutting through the thick air of anxiety that had settled around Jessie. "Yes, it is," Jessie replied, forcing a smile. Lexi's excitement was infectious, and Jessie could feel a flicker of hope surfacing amidst her apprehensions. "I can't wait." Lexi bounced on her toes. "Will he bring chocolates?" "Maybe," Jessie said, a soft laugh escaping her lips. The thought of Ethan arriving with something sweet, a metaphor for their potential future, brought her a sense of warmth. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door, clear and decisive. Jessie's heart raced again, her breath catching in her throat. She exchanged a look with Lexi, who nodded as if affirming that everything would be okay. Jessie opened the door carefully, her hand trembling slightly against the doorknob. There he was. Ethan stood in the light of the late morning, a bright smile on his face that instantly disarmed her. He looked different, more relaxed yet determined. His hair was tousled, suggesting he hadn't had the luxury of extra time this morning any more than she had. "Hey, Jessie," he said, his voice smooth but with an undercurrent of nervous energy. "It's good to see you." "Hey, Ethan." The words felt surreal, like they carried a weight far heavier than she expected. Lexi peeked around Jessie's legs, eyes wide. "Are you here to take us to the chocolate shop?" she asked with uninhibited enthusiasm. Ethan chuckled, kneeling to Lexi's level. "Only if you want to share some cookies afterwards." As they stepped inside, Jessie led Ethan to the kitchen, trying to ignore the fluttering in her stomach. The cookies on the counter were a reminder of how she'd been holding on, something physical to represent the sweetness of this moment. For a moment, silence draped over them, like a blanket both comforting and stifling. Jessie stole a glance at Ethan, and the unspoken questions hung between them. What were they thinking? What would happen next? Jessie, Ethan began, but Lexi interrupted, her curiosity bubbling over. Do you want a cookie? She asked, picking one up and offering it with both hands. Ethan smiled, the tension breaking like glass. I think I'd love one. As they shared the cookies, laughter floated around the room, filling the space with hope. But beneath the joy, Jessie could feel the weight of the conversation yet to come. Eventually, the laughter faded, replaced by anticipation. Jessie's heart raced as Ethan met her gaze. The moment of truth was approaching, and as the room quieted again, she knew they couldn't run from it any longer. What I wanted to say, Ethan started, pausing as if gathering his thoughts. Jessie's breath hitched, and Lexi looked between them, sensing the shift in the atmosphere. But before he could finish, the doorbell rang again, a harsh interruption. That seized the moment. Jessie glanced back at the door, tension tightening in her chest. Who could it be? Whatever it was, she had a sinking feeling it would change everything. Jessie's heart raced as she exchanged a worried glance with Ethan and Lexi. Was this interruption going to derail everything they'd built up to? The doorbell rang again, insistent and loud, cutting through the bubble of warmth they had just created. Mommy, are we expecting someone? Lexi asked, glancing up at her with innocent curiosity. No, sweetheart. Just wait here, Jessie said, her voice steadying as she moved toward the door. She turned the doorknob, each click of the latch echoing her growing anxiety. Opening the door revealed a stern-faced woman holding a clipboard. Ms. Harper? I'm from the Social Services Department, she said, her voice crisp and official. Jessie felt her stomach drop. What's this about? The woman stepped inside, her gaze flickering around the cozy kitchen, stopping briefly on Ethan and then Lexi. There are some concerns regarding your daughter's well-being. We need to discuss the incident at school. The words hit Jessie like a freight train. Her resolve was shaken. They were fine. They were navigating their challenges. Listen, Lexi is safe, she stated, her voice rising, but panic fluttered in her chest. She just had a minor scuffle. The woman raised a hand, cutting her off. I understand, but we need to ensure she's not at risk. It's standard procedure when there are reports of bullying. May I speak with you privately? Looking back at Ethan, Jessie could see the concern etched on his face. Lexi was now completely wide-eyed, worry creeping into her innocent little features. Mommy? Bending down, Jessie hugged Lexi tightly, her heart racing. Everything is going to be all right, sweet pea. I'll be right back, okay? Jessie told her, forcing a reassuring smile. She stepped outside and closed the door, leaving Ethan and Lexi behind. The woman explained the situation further, outlining the concerns in a way that made Jessie's heart ache. She wanted to scream that nothing was wrong, that they were doing their best. But doubts began to flood her mind. Was she really enough? Ethan's voice broke through her thoughts, soft and steady as he stepped out to join them. Excuse me, but I believe I should be part of this conversation. The social worker hesitated, but Jessie could see the concern in Ethan's eyes for both of them. I think it's best if you don't, she said gently, even as her heart swelled at his protective nature. No, I'm going to support Jessie and Lexi, Ethan asserted, his voice strong. If that's an issue, you'll need to explain that to me. Jessie exchanged a glance with him, feeling a wave of gratitude wash over her. For the first time, she didn't feel alone in facing her fears. The social worker finally relented, her demeanor softening, and they all moved inside. Once seated at the kitchen table, Jessie felt a weight settle, and for the first time ever, it didn't feel crushing. With Ethan by her side, she felt bolstered. They discussed Lexi's situation. They advocated for her together. Ms. Harper has shown incredible strength in juggling her responsibilities and parenting, Ethan interjected at one point. We're committed to ensuring Lexi feels safe at school and loved at home. The woman's stern expression began to fade, replaced with understanding. Perhaps she saw the sincerity in their effort. All right. I see that you're both committed. We can work together on this. As the meeting wound down, Jessie felt a sense of claustrophobic fear lift, shifting into something light and hopeful. The woman stood to leave, but turned back before exiting. I'll follow up in a week. But please prioritize your daughter's emotional well-being. Jessie nodded, her heart swelling with gratitude, and suddenly, everything felt manageable. As the door closed, Jessie turned to Ethan. Thank you, she breathed, her heart brimming with affection. You didn't have to do that. I couldn't have managed alone. What are friends for? He said, but there was something more in his eyes. Something that spoke of a bond that had only deepened amidst chaos. Lexi appeared behind them, her tiny face scrunching up in concern. Everything okay? Jessie kneeled to meet her at eye level. Yes, darling. Just a little checkup. Now it's all okay. Can we go to the chocolate shop? Lexi pleaded, her innocence piercing through Jessie's heart. Absolutely. Ethan chimed in, kneeling beside Lexi with an infectious smile. Only if you promise to share some cookies with me later. Lexi giggled, her fears from earlier dissipating. As they drove to the chocolate shop, Jessie couldn't help but reflect on how far they had come. This was a moment of new beginnings and unexpected alliances. In Ethan's confident presence, she saw a glimpse of a life where she could lean on someone else. A world of happy chaos she never thought she'd allow in. Mommy, I'm glad he's here, Lexi said, breaking the silence. Jessie smiled, her heart swelling. Me too, honey. Me too. As they pulled up to the shop, Jessie glanced at Ethan. He caught her eye, and in that moment, the air crackled with hope. They were both scared, but together, they were more than just two worlds colliding, they were creating a family. The possibilities stretched before them like the ocean, endless and magnificent. No matter what challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. With laughter, cookies, and a whole lot of love, and in that shared moment, Jessie felt the weight of her decision dissolve, leaving only the sweet taste of courage, belonging, and the warmth of connection. Now was the time to live, time to love, and time to fully embrace this beautiful new journey they were embarking on together. So, what are you waiting for? Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share. True fans know how essential it is to stand up and promote the channel through these actions.